Well, greetings again, everyone. I hope you're all doing very well out there and staying safe and just having a good time of things. And obviously, it's been a bit of an odd time. I had a long process getting that X-Files video out because obviously there was a lot of research to do and just jumping around from different seasons, watching different episodes, getting all the mythology stuff in line to make sure I could follow the continuity and see where things went and see how everything fit into that way of the series. And there were a couple things that happened, personal life type of things, not like horrible type of things or anything like that, but just turbulences and speed bumps and stuff like that just got a little bit in the way. And so things got a little bit set back and things took a lot longer to get around to and get them done and get them edited, of course. Major editing job. When I got the whole thing finished and released, I went back and watched. It's like, that looks a whole lot easier than it actually ended up being, making that video. It seemed like to me, it seemed like the way I put it together, it felt like it was a breeze. It was not a breeze putting it together, I'll guarantee you that. Very difficult, very long process, but I think it was worthwhile. I think it was a good video. I thought it was done. But I've been doing a lot of big projects this year. All the stuff with the retro video series has been big undertakings. And then I did this thing, and I've also got later on that Miami Vice movie video, which is going to be a lot of research into the production of the film. And of course, I got to watch two different versions of the film. And so that's always one of those things that always sets me back a little bit. My chair is falling down here. But one of those things that sets me back is like, oh, I already want to cover that film, but now I got to watch two different. I need to watch like the theatrical cut and like the director's cut. And I got to listen to commentary track or something else. I got to put like 8 hours worth of research in one day just to get around to shooting the video. A lot easier when you just have like, oh, there's a 90-minute movie, there's like maybe a 20-minute featurette. That's perfect. It's easy going on that stuff. A lot of these are things that take a lot more effort and time to get to, and sometimes I don't have the energy or the time for it. And this week has been a little bit of I don't even know if you'd even call it a false start. Just the fact that I had planned out to take this like extended weekend off from work and hoped I was going to get started on certain things, and they just didn't get around to it because I've been kind of tired all week. I haven't been sleeping super well, just kind of waking up at odd times and disrupting my sleep, stuff like that. This seems to be a recurring problem I have, but it's one of those things like if I start having to wake up really early in the morning for certain things, it kind of throws me off completely. I'm a night owl type of guy. So one of those things, like, it's thrown me off and kind of dropped my energy levels in a weird place. So I am building myself back up a little bit. I'm gradually getting to the point where I'm going to do the next video, which has been a bit of a shift around the last week of different things I'd kind of posted here and there online. Like, maybe I'm going to cover this, and maybe I'm going to go look at this and stuff like that. And so what I'm working on right now is that I will be starting out Forever Horror Month soon with a review, hopefully, for The Conjuring 2, because I never got around to it. I did the review of the first film on opening weekend. I've batted around back and forth about maybe doing like an expanded Redux review of it. I don't feel it's quite as necessary as I used to think it was. So when I do the second film, I can talk in a gushing fashion for a brief period of time about what I felt about the first film, just to reiterate that and kind of compare how the first film is to the second film, stuff like that. So I can get a little bit of that feeling off, because I rewatched the first two films the other night, just to get a feel overall again. And then I'm going to be doing a little bit more research and getting into it in the next couple of days. I already got all the stuff ripped from both Blu-rays. Haven't seen the third film because there's been not the best things said about it in a lot of cases, because James Wan was not directing this time. He was off doing other things and put it into a different director's hands, and a lot of people had a lot of problems with it. A lot of different things to say about it, but I have not seen it, and I don't know where it's going to land for me to actually do anything about it, because right now, for everything that I've heard about it that is not terribly good, I don't want to go out and spend $25 on a Blu-ray and the whole thing just so I can have a source to rip the footage from and do the video on, stuff like that. So it's a little much. It's a little much for me right now to kind of do that just for a film I haven't watched yet, I have no opinion of, and I've heard it isn't terribly good to be spending that much money on blind buy type of stuff. So just, I'll be looking towards doing The Conjuring 2 as the kind of an early setup for Forever Horror Month. And then I'm going to get into a couple other titles. I'm definitely interested in doing the Peter Hyams film, The Relic, which is getting re-released on Blu-ray on October 5th, the same day all those Halloween 4K releases come out from Screen Factory, but that's being re-released. I have it pre-ordered. I will be covering that. I only had the Laserdisc of it, and I've never watched because Peter Hyams apparently shot the film so darkly that I don't think anything short of the Blu-ray is really going to give you much of anything to look at in terms of the quality of his photography or whatever the case is. So I just kind of held off not watching the damn Laserdisc because, like, it might taint my opinion of it if I don't see it in the best quality possible and the best resolution to get as much out of it as possible. So, but that is on the list. I've been kind of batting back around covering the Frighters from Peter Jackson. Now, Arrow Video was supposed to be doing a 25th anniversary 4K edition of it. This was announced like months ago, like beginning of the year type of stuff. There's been no stories, no rumblings, not really. There's maybe a few minor things, but they haven't announced anything unless it comes right at the end of the year in December. I don't know if it's actually coming or not. So I'm batting it around a little bit. I'm going to see where things are in a couple of weeks here. If Arrow makes an announcement, something like that, we'll see what happens. Just going to keep a little bit on the hovering pause area thing. So that's a little bit kind of like maybe covering that. So we got that. I did give my Blu-ray of Wolf, the Mike Nichols, Jack Nicholson film, to Steve. It was like, I keep talking about maybe doing a Redux review and kind of going back and forth, like, do I really want to do it, or when is the right time to feel for it, stuff like that. I thought, like, well, maybe we can just do a commentary on it. And he watched the film. He said it was better than he remembered it being, but he felt that was a very talky type of film. There's a lot of drama scenes, stuff like that. There's not as much, like, interesting things to do, like a scene-specific type of commentary the way we do it, where there'd be a lot of engaging things and the very interesting things to talk about and discuss as the film goes along. It's not quite that type of film, so he has my Blu-ray right now, so I can't do anything about it until we get back together to do another commentary recording. So maybe I'll just get it out of my system and do it. I'll just see what happens, but I'll have Conjuring 2, and probably by the time I get that kind of wrapped up and everything, the Relic Blu-ray will be shipping maybe a couple days after that, and we'll see where things land, because I can do the Conjuring, then we'll get the next commentary done, which I do have to watch the film, but we're going to cover The Mist, the Frank Darabont-helmed adaptation of the Stephen King story. We are going to cover that. I have Steve's Blu-ray, so we've done a Blu-ray swap here. So I got to get his stuff back, my stuff back from him, and we got to get up on this whole thing. He's gone back and read the original story for the first time. He never read it before, so we got to get all up on that whole thing. Because the weird thing, The Mist is out of print on Blu-ray. And a couple of months ago when we were kind of throwing it around here and there's like, it's not really anywhere on streaming. It might be able to buy it somewhere on streaming, like Prime or something, but it's kind of disappeared to a certain degree. So it's kind of an odd type of thing, but we after Dead Zone, we wanted to get to more Stephen King, and Steve Frazier has made a list of King films that we can tap into, and some I've already seen, some I haven't. Some stuff like John Carpenter's Christine and Firestarter and a few other little things. I have seen these films. Christine I've seen a couple of times. I watched it quite recently when I was doing the editing on the Vampires review. I threw on, like, Saturday morning, it's like, okay, I just need this stuff in the background, so I'm just going to put on Carpenter film after Carpenter film, and Christine ended up in there because I haven't watched it in a long time. It's like, yeah, it is pretty damn good. It is pretty good. I really should watch this more often, and so he's open to that because he has not read the original book of Christine, so he's going to go back and do that. So we just got titles right now. We don't have anything structured any type of way, but we have ideas to get into that, so there'll be a wonderful series. I can't wait till we have like a Stephen King commentary series playlist. It'll be fabulous. So we've already done Pet Sematary, we've done The Dead Zone. Go check those out already, and we'll get up on The Mist in due time. And so we've got the Terminator 2 commentary that's dropped between myself, Steve, and Trent. Got that out of the way. Trent had actually apparently never seen the special edition of Terminator 2, so if you haven't listened to it already, you get his fresh reactions to like all the additional scenes in the whole thing. Just like out of nowhere. He just never seen any of that stuff before. He just seen the theatrical version, so that's kind of an experience for everyone. To go listen to that, see what he feels about it right off the gate, fresh as it can be. So there's that. And we'll shift over to retro video series here, because I do have things stirring. I did finally sit down and watch my Blu-ray of Ransom, the Ron Howard film. I really liked it. It was a damn good film. I have to get around to watching the extended Laserdisc version. So it's like, it's like, I don't want to watch the one version that's like the next day watch the other version. I just want to have a little bit of a buffer zone between watches, because I got a lot of things stirring in my head and I'm a little tired. I just want to make sure I'm at the right mindset to capitalize on it and get my notes in order and talk about it to a certain degree. But I did send out a tweet tagging Ron Howard about it. He hasn't responded or anything. He's like, I'm just kind of interested. Did Ron Howard have any input on this whatsoever? Haven't got anything from it, so I will. But regardless of that, I thought that was like worth a shot in the dark. Shot in the dark. Maybe he would come out and say something. Who knows? He replies to random people here and there. But anyway, so there's that. So Retro's video series is kind of somewhere in there. So it might impede a little bit on the October season. But I do want to at least get another episode of that produced in due time. I'm still racking my brain around this whole thing of the morphing color grading on David Fincher's Seven. Because I want to find some other examples of when a filmmaker went back to one of his films and drastically altered the way it looked. Where they went in and improved different ways of how they graded it and stuff like that. I have a few examples, but I feel like there's a lot more than just like two of them I have in my head or something like that. So I want to do this right, because I've been having this thing on hold since November. I shot a version of this in November, and I got to a point where it's like, I don't know exactly what it was, just the fact that I didn't know what the point of the whole discussion was. Like, I can dull out the facts, but I want to have something to say about the situation. Say something about why a filmmaker goes in and changes things, and what the impulse is, and how that kind of morphs how the film is perceived and how it feels when you watch it, how that really alters something in the viewing experience. So I want to have a little something more to say about it. I don't want to just kind of like dry facts and here's what happened and this is what happened. I want to have something to say about it, a little bit of a thesis on the entire idea there. So there's certain things I can get into. So it's something that I just want to do right when I get to it. So there's that. And I do have media pickups, so just so you know that's in here this time. And so that's about where it is. So Forever Hormone's coming up. I was batting around a couple of titles, and just like my head wasn't in the right space. I wasn't feeling things. I was going kind of crazy over like a couple of days, just trying to find something to do, because I was so not really desperate, but it was like I'm so driven to get something done. I got all this time off that I wanted to get something done. I just couldn't capitalize on it because I was all out of whack. I wasn't feeling right. So I'm building myself up. The way I'm doing things now, getting up to this Conjuring thing, it's getting to somewhere good. It's getting to somewhere positive, just a step at a time. So next couple of days I'll be shooting it. I will be. So I just got to make sure I feel right, because I get home from work. I want to decompress a little bit. I don't want to rush into trying to fumble around and shoot a video like midnight or something like that. It's not a good time. So just dealing with that type of stuff. Moving along. So it's kind of the first time in a couple of years that I've actually, almost unintentionally, is like I'm going to start production on Forever Hormone stuff before the beginning of October. Because there was like times when it was like I would take like a week off at a previous job I have. I would take a week off and I would kind of start up. I would start doing, way back when I did the Final Destination franchise retrospective, I started marathoning all the films almost not in one day, but I was watching the first film here, then I watched the second film here, then I watched the fourth and fifth films another day or something like that. So I kind of built things up over the number of weeks, and same thing I did with the Phantasm retrospective. I took notes over a couple of weeks and got up to the point where I shot the videos, stuff like that. So I got a long sort of jump start ahead of when October comes. So when the beginning of the month comes, I actually have something to release instead of like a month, like a week into the whole thing, I'm still kind of fumbling around. I don't have anything out. So it's kind of a nice release. I'm actually beginning work on something that's a little bit of ahead of the curve or whatnot, schedule or something like that. So many times I feel like I'm so far behind, like with X-Files. Kind of nice to feel like I'm a little ahead of where I should be, considering the other stuff I was kind of thinking about doing is like, kind of lost its luster and kind of didn't feel as good about it. So jump into horror stuff, just throw some stuff on and figure it out and move forward. So there's that. And let's just get into media stuff. Not a whole lot, but it's all 4K because obviously I have the 4K TV now, the Sony 4K TV. I picked up a 4K Blu-ray player from my friend Eric Woltman, who we've kind of mentioned here and there in certain commentaries. Guy who shot a couple of my short films and my feature film, The Fixer, stuff like that. So fantastic cinematographer, fantastic videographer, fantastic friend. He had bought it refurbished off of Amazon. Then he did an upgrade to another model. So he decided to sell his Blu-ray player off to me, which is another Sony model. So I paid him for it, and now it's all mine and all that type of stuff. So I decided to grab started grabbing some stuff on 4K, and one of the first ones had to be, I got the Predator set, which is, I did mention it last time, it was like, I really don't give a shit about the fourth film, it's a piece of crap. But this was the version that was available at Best Buy for about $33.99 or something like that, so I grabbed it up, because I had a Saturday off, and I said, I just want to kind of sit down and watch a Predator marathon. I only got for the first two films, but it's like, one, I had to get the 4K version of just the first film regardless. So I grabbed the whole thing up, the four movie 4K collection, and the first film does look fantastic. It is the best it's ever looked. Blows everything else away, because I never even bothered watching the DNR Disaster. There was the Ultimate Hunter Edition. I had the original Blu-ray, which I did the review on, which I produced my review of Predator off of several years ago. And, of course, I had the old DVD version. I also had the Laserdisc version, which the Laserdisc, despite it just I think it's just maybe stereo surround at best, or just a regular stereo track, had a really good sound on it, too. I just when I put it on the Pro Logic, it really impressed me. I had to tinker a lot with a picture of the whole thing, because obviously Predator, it's a little bit of a complicated film to get right visually, because it's a very grainy film. A lot of places where they didn't load in the right film stock in certain shots, so things don't look quite as good as they should. But the fact is, the 4K version looks wonderful. When I had all the stuff on, it's a HDR10, not Dolby Vision. Once I figured all that stuff out, I was like, the green of the forest and stuff like that really came alive. I did watch all of Predator 2. I was doing a little bit of other things at the time too, but didn't look a whole lot different from whatever it had before. Wasn't much of an upgrade in terms of, not that it was bad looking anyway. Just like Predator 2 has always kind of looked pretty nice anyway on home video. There's never been really a problem with it in any type of way. So it's always been a pretty slick looking film overall. So there wasn't a whole lot to gain from it, but Predators, I eventually did get around to watching a little bit of Predators. I jumped around a little bit to test out the HDR and stuff like that, and it was like a really, even though it's a film that's locked into 2K because it was shot on 2K cameras from a 2K digital intermediate, but the HDR really pumped up the colors and gave a little extra something to it, because I was still fiddling around with settings, and it's like I didn't have the right things set on, because the Sony Blu-ray player, you have to manually turn the Dolby Vision on and off, because if you don't turn it off, it thinks it's sending a Dolby Vision signal, even though if it doesn't have a disc that does Dolby Vision, so it's a little bit annoying. So I had to keep turning it on and off whenever I load in another disc that has Dolby Vision on it, so I had to go back and switch the setting off and come back in. It's like, that's the way the film's supposed to look. Not the other way. This one looks right. So, looked really good. So, the first three films do look very good on 4K. They're very good type of things. Nothing to say about the fourth film. I don't have any interest in watching it. It's a really not worth the time. But even though if I'm just basing off of just three films, about $34 ain't bad for 3 4K films. Not at all. Not at all. I got an even better deal down here too. But I just like I just wanted to do this because I don't know what that case was. The weeks are blending together, but it's just like, I felt like I just want to sit down, enjoy something, and get on with it or something like that. So, regardless, I'll go with the next one I got. I'll leave the newer film out here because the next best deal I got was earlier this week when I was toying around with, I've had this thing on my head. Another film that I hadn't followed up on off of opening weekend was John Wick Chapter 3. Because opening weekends of 1 and 2, I did reviews of them. 3 I never got around to because I was trying to shoot this sort of behind the scenes type of thing back then, whenever the fuck it was, 2019. I think that was the weekend I was working on the Wrath of Khan review, and then Steve and I did, I did release a clip on an earlier update like a long fucking time ago, but it was, me and Steve, I think we were recording Candyman and Batman that day. And so over the weekend I was like shooting like all this behind the scenes footage, where I did like, oh, I'm on the road to the movie theater and stuff like that, and I just did like a review in the car itself, so I never actually produced a proper review, and I never edited together the behind-the-scenes stuff. So it was one of those things, like, it always held over my head, and I wanted to update my thoughts on Chapter 2, but it's like I've had this thing on my head about going back and doing one more franchise retrospective video on the first 3 John Wick films. I figure, if I'm going to try and do this, I'd like to be able to watch them in the 4K version, so I grabbed the 4K set from Best Buy, which was already discounted from the regular price, and I looked it up on Amazon. It was $24 on Amazon, so I price matched it to Amazon. I got 3 4K films for $24. You just can't beat that. There's not even Black Friday, you can't fucking beat that. There's no way possible. No way possible. Just like, break that down, it's like what? Like $11.50 per film or something like that? It's crazy. And the fact is, it's got the digital 4K, but it doesn't have the regular Blu-ray discs on it. So that means I get to keep my regular Blu-ray discs so I can rip footage for them, so I don't have to sell those off. So, but again, I wasn't feeling terribly up to it. I sat down and watched the first film. The first film was apparently supposed to be native 4K. I didn't get much out of it. There wasn't much of an upgrade there in terms of anything, really. It didn't look all that much different from what I've seen it before. Maybe a few instances where they look like there's a little extra detail on faces here and there, but I think it was still shot digitally. So, not that shooting digitally is bad type of thing, but obviously film tends to have a little bit more of a higher range upgrade when you're getting scanning the film stock and stuff like that. And stuff like that. There's a difference in that regard on what you can get out of different mediums and whatnot it was shot on, but didn't see much of an upgrade on that type of thing. And obviously the second and third film is a lot more lively in terms of color, so the HDR might do something more for that when I get around to those, because they do have old Dolby Vision and Atmos tracks, stuff like that. But I don't regret it overall. It was $24. If I ever did want to upgrade, that's the goddamn best price I could actually possibly imagine it getting. Obviously, whenever they end up releasing the fourth film, it would seem like the more opportune time to do that type of video, because, like I said, my opening weekend review of the second film was like, I didn't have the highest opinion of it. I didn't even buy the Blu-ray until like months afterwards. So, but the more I've watched the second film, the more I really, really love it. And obviously I never gave thoughts on the third film, so it would just be a really good opportunity to really kind of delve into it and give an updated feeling of it. Those asking for commentaries, Steve and Trent have not seen these films at all, so they don't really watch a lot of like modern action films, stuff like that, so they are missing out. But we wouldn't be able to do commentaries anytime soon on them, so I thought this was would be the next best idea whenever I feel right for it, because again, I got to sit down for like 6 hours, marathon all three films, and then shoot the thing in a way that feels like there is a certain structure and I'm hitting beats in a certain way, because sometimes when I would shoot those franchise retrospective videos, there'd just be way too much. I'd be hacking the thing down so badly. So much, again, I would have to keep chopping out so much to get the video length down to something that felt reasonable. So there's a certain approach I have to go forward if I'm going to do one more of those, because the last one I did was for the Evil Dead films, and in retrospect, I really should have just done separate videos for each one of them, because it was an hour-long video. Could have been even way longer than that if I didn't chop as much out of it as I did. Would have been much more satisfying if I did separate videos on each Evil Dead film on its own. But regardless, that's where it is. It's done. It's out. It's been done for like 4 years now, so nothing to talk about there. But after I got done with the X-Files video, after such a big, long, arduous process getting that thing done, I decided I want to buy myself a reward for it. And obviously, the week that I got that done was when this film came out on Blu-ray and 4K and stuff like that. So the one film I did end up going to see in the theater this year was Black Widow. And it's not perfect. It's not great. But I really enjoyed it. It's a really fun, entertaining film. Florence Pugh was fabulous in this whole thing as Yelena. I just loved her so much. Her comedic timing, all the stuff she was doing was just golden. Just absolutely golden. David Harbour is always wonderful to watch in anything he does. Rachel Weisz is one of the most reliable, solid actresses out there. Great, talented cast. Absolutely loved it. The action sequences are fun. Story might not have been the best type of thing. Obviously, everyone really kind of has the same opinion that they feel like the film was many, many years too late. That it probably should have been made like shortly after Civil War or something like that to get it right where it belongs in the timeline. But it's here or there or whatnot. We deal with what we have now. And this is actually interesting because usually Marvel films are finished at 2K resolution. So you have a 2K digital intermediate that has to be up-res for 4K. They did a native 4K resolution on this thing. Because apparently they shot on like 6K and 8K cameras, and they rendered everything down to proper 4K resolution, and I thought it looked really good. I could definitely see like an extra level of detail that I really would not have typically seen before. I thought it looked just really good. The HDR stuff looked really nice. The fucking soundtrack was punchy, man. And a lot of Disney soundtracks, when they put them on disc, tend to be a little weak here and there. They haven't done the best work on terms like Atmos tracks and stuff like that. They kind of knock it down a few decibels here and there. This one was punchy. It was lively. I thought it was like, I had to turn the volume down at certain points when you have a lot of explosions and gunfire and stuff like that. It was really strong. I thought it was a really strong thing. And if it wasn't so much money, I might have gotten like the Target exclusive, which had like an extra sort of a booklet about certain things, about the behind the scenes and concept art, stuff like that. This got me about $30. I was like, okay, after there's certain other things I've had to expend costs on lately on certain personal life things, it's like, well, I can't go that far. I'll just go with the regular 4K edition, because obviously you get the slip cover, all that type of stuff. Looks really nice with a little bit of embossing there, here and there. So I thought it just turned out nice. I really enjoyed watching it again. Again, it's not the best Marvel film. It's not even top tier Marvel, but it was a really fun experience. I really enjoyed it in the theater. It just kept me very much entertained. I was very pleased. So that's the least of anything you can ask for. It was good. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. So there's that, and glad to have it. It's like even the spine has a little flare on there with the red and everything like that. So it's like, this looks nice on my shelf here and everything. It's got the little extra panache of something like that on there, but it was good. I didn't look at any of the special features at all. I just put in the 4K disc because all the special features are on the standard Blu-ray, so I didn't even put that disc in. But I just went in the film. I enjoyed it. I actually had my phone turned off for like an hour watching the film. It's like, I'm just going to turn it off. I'm going to put it in the freaking hallway. I'm not even going to have it in the same room. I just want to disconnect and enjoy something and just burn away anything else that's bothering me right now. Had a fun time with it. So there's that. I don't know if I don't see myself going back and like upgrading a lot of the other Marvel films I have, MCU films, because again, a lot of them are just like 2K upscale, stuff like that. You get like an Atmos track, but I don't have the Atmos set up. I don't think my receiver over here, which is also Sony, everything's Sony over here. Complete Sony. The camcorder is Sony, the TV is Sony, the Blu-ray player is Sony, the receiver is Sony. The speakers are Panasonic though, so there's something. But But anyway, my receiver I don't think really does Atmos, so it kind of down mixes everything, or the 5.1 channel stuff like that. I think all it has is 5.1. Doesn't even have the extra outputs for the Duo Atmos thing with extra speakers, stuff like that. So I'd have to upgrade beyond that, but that's a little beyond me at this point in time. Stuff like that. So that's all the immediate pickups I have at this point. But really good type of stuff. I was having a good amount of fun with some of this stuff. So still eyeing some things. I did end up ordering the Star Trek 4K original movie collection. Because at first that was the big thing I was going to get for myself as a reward for getting the X-Files thing done. It was a little high priced. I had to expend a certain amount of cost for some other things I had to fix up in life. And so there was I have to downgrade it. And I've actually deep discount had it for $10 less than everyone else. And then had a 15% off coupon that went live earlier this week. So I applied that on there. So I got it for like $20 less than what anyone else was selling it for. But it's now Thursday night. I ordered it on Monday and it hasn't shipped yet. So it's kind of getting me a little irked right now. I'm not super in love with deep discount because, yeah, you can get free shipping after like $25, but the damn thing takes like a goddamn week. And it's already been taking 4 days. It's going to take 5 days. I'm going into Friday here to actually get the thing shipped anywhere. So it's like it's a little bit irritating me. I put down like a bunch of fucking money on that thing. And I put down like $60 on it. Get up on it. Get the thing packed and slapped a freaking shipping label on it already. So there's that. And I might be selling off my old Blu-ray player, since it's just a regular Blu-ray player with like 4K upscale, stuff like that. I don't need it. I could put it in the living room, but I don't really watch any disc stuff in the living room. So I'm just kind of having it off to the side. I'll eventually put it up on eBay with some nice photos and stuff like that, and find a way to pack it up nicely to ship it somewhere. So anyway, so I can recoup some money doing that from all the money I put into this stuff over here. And I got nothing else. I've got the only Halloween 4K I have pre-ordered right now is just the original film from John Carpenter. Because it's just a lot of money. These things are a lot of money. So I was like, I at least have to get the first film. I gotta get the first film. The other ones I can wait a little bit on. Maybe a couple weeks, week or two or three. I was thinking about like, come Halloween, I might just kind of like get up in the morning and just like, I'm just gonna marathon this son of a bitch. All this stuff. All the way to the end of the day. Feels like a good enough idea. But we'll see where things land. When the Star Trek ones come, I might end up doing comparison videos because I still have the old Blu-rays from the little pack of the first 6 films, because they've only so far remastered the first 4 films. So I still have to hold on to that for Final Frontier and Undiscovered Country for HD versions, just in case for anything. Not like I really want to watch the DNR disasters that are on those, but just keep it in the back pocket. I still have my old collector's edition DVDs and stuff like that, so regardless, stuff like that. So I might end up doing comparison videos just between the remastered 1080p discs, because I cannot rip 4K discs at all. It's not possible. I tried the other day just to see if it was possible. Does not function that way. So there's that. So I might end up doing that just as something I just want to kind of do. And stuff like that. So it's going on plenty long enough, but there's been a lot of things to talk about here. So do that. I'll probably do the same for at least that first, for the John Carpenter's Halloween, that remaster, because I have the box set, the deluxe master box set they put out a long time ago. So there's two different transfers on that one, on the box set, and then they will have the 1080p disc remastered from the 4K version they're doing now, and there's another transfer on that thing that says original color version of the whole thing, or original color grading version, which they didn't specify which one they're talking about, whether it's the original Blu-ray version or the 35th anniversary Blu-ray version. So either way, it's going to be redundant with what I already have, so I can probably put together a decent sort of comparison one like I did for Halloween 3, the Steelbook edition that I did last year. I still have to see what the 4K remaster of 3 is going to be, because if they're doing it from the exact same thing they already have from the Steelbook, it's a little bit of a thing whether or not I'm going to grab it. So kind of an interesting thing. Even though the Steelbook is just a regular 1080p and we get UHD, HDR, Dolby Vision stuff, and Dolby Atmos here and there, but random little technical things all over the place. So all these different things. So I'm going to see about getting that stuff into the queue of putting things out in the next couple of weeks. So guys, thank you extremely much for sitting around and watching me ramble and all this other stuff. So hopefully, if you have anything to say about these 4Ks I picked up and gave a little bit of a critique on here and there, let me know. And throat's getting dry here. So guys, thanks so much, very much. Falling apart. Gotta get out of here. Thank you so deeply. Be around some other great stuff soon. Thanks much. Take care. Bye-bye.